Hey guys, I hope that I'm live right now. If you guys are able to listen to me properly, as well as there's no issues with the audio or the video, please let me know. Good evening, everybody. I hope that I'm live right now. If you guys are able to listen to me properly, as well as there's no issues with the audio or the video, please let me know. Hi guys, I hope that I'm live right now, guys. If you guys are able to listen to me properly, as well as there's no issues with the audio or the video, please let me know. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, guys. Okay, great. So, how was your day, guys? How was your day? How was your day, guys? Yes, Dark Gamer, there was no class yesterday. Okay. How was your day, guys? Not productive. Okay. See, Dark Gamer, the last time as well at the bootcamp, you said that it was not productive for you. So please try to make sure that you are able to plan what you need to do for the next day, one day before, and execute upon that plan itself. You're still not able to do it, make like timings, like make a proper timetable, put some alarms in your phone and execute according to that. Until and unless it's something that if you're not doing it, you will die. Do not deviate from the timetable. Okay, try to make sure that you are sticking to the timetable and going further. Okay. Yeah, Dagima, I'm able to understand that. That usually happens when like you are going, like your friends come over and they are like, "Hey, dude, you need to go out with us." So you need to learn the art of saying no. That was a huge problem when I was in college as well. I couldn't just say no to anything. So that ended like with me not being able to focus upon my own schedule. So always make this a point that you guys are able to like focus upon your schedule itself. Okay. At least give us 2 minutes of break for washroom. Sam vlogs, even if you're not able to sit at one place for 1 hour when the timing is fixed, and the exams that you have to give at a later point of time will be of 3 hours, where you will not be able to go to the washroom, how are you going to select computer science as a career? If you're not able to sit at one place for just 1 hour, you need 2 minutes break for going to the washroom. The timing is also fixed. You could go before that and the after that as well. Or else the second particular thing is you have a very small bladder. If that's the case, get it checked by a doctor. Okay? No issues in that, Karan Patel. So will you be making any video on how to make a web browser? No, we haven't planned about it right now. For example, yes, you could create a web browser using Node.js and let's say with Node.js you would have to use Express. No, Express won't work right over there. So Node.js would be something that you will have to use. The framework that you will have to use would be Electron. So if you want to create a web browser using JavaScript, then the framework that you would have to use would be Electron, and the language would be Node.js. Time logs, if you have to pee every single hour, there's something fucked up. Okay, even if you drink a lot of water, even I drink a lot of water, but I don't pee every single hour. Okay, if you aren't able to control that, you need to start doing it. Because when you are studying and if you are going for like a pee break in every 15 minutes, that is not supposed, like you will be breaking your concentration at any time, point of time. I want to create a web browser to replace Chrome. You could use like other options that are available. You can go with Safari, you could go with Firefox, Opera Mini, Brave, you could go with anything. Okay. That's great, Dark Gamer. It would be great to see you in the class as well. Okay, good evening. Good evening. Please show add image once again, Shubham. If you weren't paying attention in the class, you could watch the video once again. Okay, we will not be doing it again because we need to proceed further with it. Okay. Give some ideas for mini project for third year of information technology. Okay, so maybe like that depends upon the college that you are from. Like that totally depends upon the college, the type of project, the level of project that you want to do it. For example, I've seen students submitting like a portfolio website as their third year and fourth year projects. I've seen students creating amazing projects as their final year, even research papers, they are able to submit it right over there. So that will totally depend upon what you want to do. Okay. Yeah, that's right, Latika. I'm very sorry if I'm not I'm not able to pronounce your name properly, but yeah, image tag is a self-closing tag. So is there any extra session to tally the yesterday's class? Yes, of course. So we'll be continuing further on itself. Do not worry about it. Okay. So can you explain about the project? The project will be very simple. Whatever we are learning in HTML, CSS, we will be doing that and using it to basically create a landing page of Facebook. Okay. Is it worth learning Django for full stack? No, Bhupati, it's not. You should go with Mern stack. Focus upon Mern stack first of all, then go with cloud computing, take up AWS. That will be my suggestion. And then go with DevOps. The three things that you need to learn in DevOps, basic things, should be Docker, then Kubernetes, and then CI/CD. At least these three things you should be very familiar with. Okay. Django is great for backend, right? Like that depends. Like, see, what happens is, guys, you need to understand something. There are a lot of different frameworks that goes into the backend. Okay, sometimes there is Django, there is like Cake PHP. Then you are having your Mern stack, that is your MongoDB Express node. Then you are having your LAMP stack. You are having, so there are just so many number of backend technologies that are there at any point of time. So the problem with this is that what happens at the end of the day is that when you're working at a very big firm, okay, let's say when I was working back in Google, at that point of time, we weren't using just one of these stacks. Okay, for example, let's take up Gmail. Okay, just taking up an example right over here of Gmail itself. Gmail has a lot many number of like parts, moving parts that are there behind it. Maybe the authentication part where you are signing in, signing out, maybe the registration part, maybe the sending the emails part, receiving the emails part, the profile part, the landing part. So these are all different parts of the huge mechanism, gears of the huge mechanism that is your mail. This is where the concept of monolithic and microservice architecture comes into place. Early on, back in 2000s, most of the backend tech that was created was of the monolithic architecture, where there was just one backend technology with everything, all these different gears just compiled into it, and you were using it. Right now, it has changed to microservice architecture. Each of these parts is itself its very own backend, and due to that, each of these backend technologies that are there, okay, for every single purpose, there is a different technology. Different, for example, maybe for authentication purposes they are using the Mern stack. For receiving the email they are using Django. For payments and services they are using Go as a language. So right now what is happening is one single product will have multiple different technologies in the background. Now you guys are not supposed to work on every single part of the huge. So some days, some weeks as well, my only job right over there was to change the color of a button on a website. That's it. That was my only job for a week. So these big companies do not always like, never, it's just a case of never assign an entire product to somebody. You'll be working on a very small part of a product, so that will be a niche specialization that you will be having. but still 80 to 90% of the entire industry still uses the MERN stack, that is MongoDB, Express, and Node.js in the backend. So that is what I'm trying to make you guys understand. Okay. We will not be doing Bootstrap in this bootcamp. Okay, is Next.js front end or back end? Please, I need a response. See, these type of questions you can easily search for it. Of course, Next.js is for front end itself, but yeah, you can just search about this on Google as well. Okay. What will take 7 to 8 years? Okay, which internship is better, cloud security, cyber security, or cloud? Both of them, you shouldn't be taking it. Go with either data science or full stack. Okay, cloud cyber security right now in India is just a hobby. Okay, you can treat it as a hobby. If you like it, do it as a hobby itself. Do not treat it as your career opportunity. Okay, right now the career in cybersecurity is not that great. That's the reason why we don't organize like training programs in cybersecurity, because we talk to the industry, we listen to them, they provide us a list of, okay, so I will be hiring like 800 full stack developers from you and 600 data science people from you. We get a requirement of like 5 cybersecurity experts. So that is not a huge amount of job opportunity that is there. So please do not take it up as a career opportunity. Take it up as a hobby. Okay. And for cloud, do not go with cloud. If you want to go with cloud, do the entire full stack. Okay. It includes cloud as well. Okay. So let's get started with our today's class, guys. Okay. Let me open up the PPT that I was going to use. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second, guys. I'll just open up the PPT that we are supposed to use. Okay. In the last class, we had completed our base of HTML. In this class, we need to focus upon CSS. We'll be starting for CSS right now. Okay. So let's get started right away, guys. Let's see. So this is a small example of a CSS code. Okay, this is small. So what is your qualification? So I think so I had introduced myself in the on the very first day, guys. Did I introduce myself or did I forget about it? On the very first day, I think so I introduced myself, or did I forget about it? Guys, is everybody there, or am I the only person there in the class right now? Yeah, I've introduced myself. Am I right? Okay. Yeah, no issues in that. Okay, so let's continue from right over here. This is a small example. Okay, fuck it. I will just introduce myself once again. So my name is Shaurya Sinha, and I have like passed out from BITS in CSE, okay, Computer Science and Engineering. After that, I worked at Reliance as a data analyst, then at Geo as a data scientist. Then I worked at various different startups where I worked as a full stack engineer, a backend engineer, a machine learning engineer. After that, I worked at Google. I used to go on behalf of Google to various different colleges as well. I used to teach AI, ML, data science, full stack web development. After that, I joined Fastnell as a software engineer. I started a small startup that is DevTown, and because I used to love to teach when I was working with Google. So I decided I want to continue it further as well. It relaxes me a bit. So that is the reason why we started DevTown with one of my friends, Ashish Modi. He's currently working at KPMG as a data engineer. So he's also a great personality. I would love to bring him sometimes in the bootcamp as well. And yeah, I think so. That is a small introduction from my end. Am I right? Will that be more than sufficient for you guys, or and can we continue with the class itself? Should we continue with the class, guys? Okay. So right over here, as you're able to see on your screen itself, this is a small example of a code in CSS. Okay, so each of these blocks are usually called as a rule set. Now I'm just telling you the terminologies. Okay, so don't tell me to repeat. Okay, there's nothing to repeat. These are terminologies. These are definitions. You need to understand them. There's nothing that can be done right over there. Okay, so you are having these rule sets. Each of these block of codes are called as a rule set itself. Inside a rule set there are two separate parts. Okay, inside a rule set there are two separate parts. The first is the selector. Okay, that basically selects the HTML tag. Okay, for example, the div tag, the h1 tag, the paragraph tag, whatever tag that you are having on your website, okay, to which you want to apply some changes using CSS, that is called as the selector. Okay, whatever tag that you are having on your website that you want to select and apply some changes using CSS, that is called as the selector. Right over here it's the div tag. Okay, then the changes that you want to apply to the div tag, okay, the changes that you want to apply to the div tag itself, that is called as the declaration block. Okay, that is called as the declaration block. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know, guys. Great. So this is one example of a small CSS code. Usually when you will be writing CSS code, it will look something like this. Okay, so as you're able to see, it just will have like 10,000, 20,000 lines of code when you're working with a real project, which will contain all your CSS for you. Okay, I've seen code blogs where there are like more than 1 lakh lines of code in just like CSS portion itself. So this is something that might happen to you guys as well. So don't worry about it. It will take some time, but you will get habituated to it. Now we'll be looking at some examples to understand this further on. So let us just open up code Sandbox itself first of all. So let me just open up code Sandbox. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so let's get started with some examples. Okay, right now, let us first open up our browser in a new page. So let's first do that. Let's scroll it down. We don't require it. We will be requiring this. So let's try to make it a big shot. Okay, let's remove this in its entirety. We don't require the browser. So we are having our code and we are having our file system right over here. Okay, what we want to do is we want to include CSS in our like code itself. Okay, we want to include CSS in our code. Okay, so for example, let's say that we are having this h1 element. Okay, we are having this h1 element right over here, and there are three ways. Okay, we are having three ways in which we want to change the color. Okay, we want to include CSS. Okay, we want to include CSS in our code, and we want to change the color of this h1 element from black to, let's say, red. Okay, I want to change the color from black to red. So there are three ways of doing this in CSS. Okay, so let's see that. The first and the most easiest way possible is called as the inline CSS. Okay, it's called as the inline CSS, wherein you are going to put up your CSS code inside the same line of your HTML code. For example, right over here, this is the h1 element. Are you guys able to see this? Please do let me know. This is the h1 element right over here that we have placed. I want to change the color of this h1 element from black to red. This is our problem statement. So what we'll do is, to include CSS right over there, we'll just write style, style, style is equals to, and then color to red right over here, and then semicolon. Okay, so this is how I'm able to include a small CSS code. Okay, the color, you are having color and then colon red, and this is basically your CSS code that you are having. Okay, and you are able to put it using style as an attribute. Okay, this is an attribute associated with the h1 element that provides some styling to it. So this is called as the inline CSS. Let us save this. Let us go back to our website, reload the page. As you are able to see, we are having our h1 element red in color. Okay, we are having h1 element red in color. So this is called as inline CSS. Okay, it's called as inline CSS because we are doing it in line itself. The next CSS that we need to understand is your internal CSS. Okay, the next CSS that we need to ensure is internal CSS. Now for every element, if you're putting up their styling line by line, it will make it pretty messy because there's a lot of styling that is involved, and the abbreviations would be there. The number of attributes associated with each tag will also increase, so it will just make the code very big. So the next particular solution to this is we'll just put all the CSS together at once. Okay, instead of putting it up separately, what we'll do is inside our head, because CSS is something that is your metadata about your website. Okay, CSS is also a type of metadata about your website. Okay, so we'll put our CSS code, all the CSS code, all the changes that you want to apply inside of our head tag. Okay, we'll create a style tag right over here. We'll create a style tag right over here, and in between this style tag, we'll write down our CSS code. For example, right over here, I want to select, first of all, the selector. Okay, so I want to select the h1 tag. Okay, I want to select the h1 tag from the HTML page. Okay, I want to apply the changes, so I want to select the selector as the h1 tag, and I want to apply the changes, that is your as we have already seen, declaration block, all the changes that you want to apply. So color is red. Okay, that is the change that I want to apply right over here. So we are saving this. Okay, if we are saving this and going, so let's say save the color as blue so that we are able to identify that something has been changed. Okay, so we are putting up all our CSS code inside of this particular brackets, and this is called as your internal CSS. Okay, because it's in the same page, okay, in the same document as your HTML code. We are going back on our website, reloading the page. As you are able to see, the color of the h1 page has h1 tag has turned to blue. So this is how you are able to use internal CSS. But the problem with both the CSS, like both these methods, whether it be the inline CSS or the internal CSS, is that all your HTML and your CSS code is in the same document. Now this makes the small document pretty big. For the inline element, it becomes very hard to figure out the CSS itself because it makes each of your line of code very big. Whereas with your internal CSS, your file, okay, even though your CSS is together inside, but it is in the same file itself, the size of the file becomes too huge. Okay, for this reason itself, you usually avoid using internal CSS. Okay, you usually avoid using internal CSS. What we will be using would be your external CSS. Okay, what we will be using will be your external CSS. So what we are going to do is we are not going to have any CSS in our HTML page. Okay, we are not going to have any CSS in our HTML page. We are going to create a new file and we'll be calling it as style style.css. Okay, we are going to create a new file called as style.css. We can name it as anything. Okay, I'm just naming it as style because that is what I want, because that is the default. .css is the extension of the file. Okay, that this file basically contains CSS code, and then we are going to write our CSS code inside this file. That is your, we want to select the h1 element. Okay, and we want to change the color of the h1 element to, we want to change the color of the h1 element to, let's say green. Okay, so we want to change it to green itself. Okay, so this is the code that we have written. Okay, but if we are running reloading our page, we'll be able to see that nothing happens. Okay, you are able to see that we are able to, like, it's just black, it's not turning into green. Could you guys let me know why is it not turning into green? Okay, can somebody think about it? Why is it not turning into green? Although I've written the exact same code, okay, it's perfectly fine, but why is my h1 element, I've selected the h1 element as well, I put up the color as green, but why is my h1 element not changing to the green color? That's absolutely right, guys, that we haven't told. So only the HTML page is shown to us. Okay, anywhere inside the HTML page have we mentioned a CSS file? Have we mentioned a CSS file? No, we haven't done that. So we need to first of all link both the files together. Okay, we need to link both the files together. So we are going to use the link attribute, and we are going to link our CSS page right over there. Okay, the relationship. So rel is basically the relationship between the two files. Okay, the relationship between the two files, the HTML and CSS. What is the CSS file to this HTML file? It's style sheet. Okay, CSS file is its style sheet, the style sheet for the HTML file. Okay, so that is the relationship between them. And to get access to our style, so we just need to use style.css, and that is the file that contains our CSS code. Now that we have linked our CSS file to our HTML file, we can go back, reload the page, and as you are able to see in a minute, that we have our color back to green. Okay, we have our color back to green. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know, guys. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know. Are you guys able to understand this, guys? Please do let me know. Great. So let's move on from right over here. Okay, we have done our first one, h1 to green, so that's it. Okay, the next particular problem state. So before moving further, we need to understand. Okay, we need to understand the concept of class and ID. Okay, so before moving further, we need to understand this perfectly. So let's get started. What is rel attribute for the link, Lakita? Like I said, the rel attribute is the relationship between the two files. What is the relationship between these two files that you're trying to link? The CSS file, that is the style.css, is the style sheet for the index.html file. That is the reason why we have written right over here that the relationship, the rel, the relationship is that both the style.css is the style sheet, okay, of our index.html file. Okay, that is how you are able to link both the files together. And now that you have linked it, the CSS code that you have written in the style.css file, you are able to see that on your website as well. As simple as that. Okay, so let's move on to the next particular aspect. We need to understand. Okay, we need to understand again. Like I said, please never write in the live chat, can you repeat one time? What have you not understood? Write it down perfectly. For example, Lakita wrote it absolutely good that I was not able to understand what is the REL. Okay, so whatever you are not able to understand, put it down inside the live chat properly. Okay. If any JS file were included, relationship would have been JavaScript or so, ain't it, sir? Yes. So that would totally depend upon if you're linking a JavaScript file and for what reason. But yes, the relationship would be something else, not style sheet. Style sheet is for your CSS class itself. Okay. Okay. So let's continue from right over here. Href, we have already discussed about it, Astha Agrawal, in our yesterday's class when we were discussing about our images when we were trying to put it up in our class itself. Okay, no Partha, I will not be repeating because I've said, like the last time that I said that do not write repeat, it was for you. I think so you didn't understood that you have to specify exactly what you have not understood. You don't have to say you have to repeat. Okay. Okay, so right, I said Keshav, what are you not able to understand in style sheet? Okay, CSS we have already understood what is a CSS file. It is the style, like if all the styling that you want to apply, that is the CSS file. You are linking the CSS file to the HTML file. So what is the relationship between them? What is the CSS file to our HTML file? It is the style sheet. So that is what is the relationship. REL basically means the relationship between the two files. You are the son of your father. That is the relationship that you are having. So that is the relationship that we are mentioning right over here as well. Okay. Okay. So let's continue from right over there. Let's try to understand about classes and IDs. Okay. Let me just open up Paint once. Let me just open up Paint and let's get started. It will be same for every new CSS file. First of all, you don't have 50 different CSS files that you attach to the HTML file, but never the case, every CSS file that you will be attaching, you will have to put up the relationship as style sheet. Okay, if you are having two siblings, okay, you and your brother, does your relationship to your father change? Like your father is your mother and your mother is your father for your brother? No. For your both of you, your relationship with your father is like you are their son. Okay, so that is the point. Okay, the relationship cannot change. Okay, so let's continue from right over there, guys. Let's try to understand class and IDs first of all. Let's say that most of you must be from your colleges or school itself. In your school, you must have something called as your annual function. Okay, you must have your annual function where you are forced to wear silly dresses and dance in front of like your parents itself, and your parents laughed when you were not looking at them. Okay, so that was basically what was happening. Most of you must have participated in these type of annual functions as well. Even I was one of those guys who used to wear the dhoti, bright yellow colored shiny dhoti that I had to wear without anything on top, and then like standing at the back because I had a good height. I had to stand at the back of the entire stuff and play drums. So you must have also felt the kind of anger and the kind of a feel of like what I'm doing with my life, standing out there, sometimes enjoying it with your friends as well. So most of you must have participated in these annual functions in your school times. Now what happens during an annual function, let's try to understand this, is that you are having a school. Okay, this is your school, let's say, and this year the 10th standard students are conducting the annual functions. They have been forced in the middle of their board year itself that you have to dance in front of 100 people. So you are having different sections. Okay, let's say that there is the first section, let's name it as 10th A. Okay, 10th A has 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 students inside of it. Okay, it has 7 students inside of it, and this is 10th A. Okay, then you are having another class of 7 students, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. This is your 10B. Then you are having another class of, let's say, 7 students, and you are having this class as of 10C right over here. Okay, so these are the classes that are there right now. Okay, now each of these class has to perform on an item song. Okay, each of these class has a different item song that they need to perform on. Okay, let's say that class A has the Kesaria song. I don't remember the spellings, I'm just going to write Kesaria K. Okay, so they have this particular song that they need to perform too. Maybe like the class 10B, the teacher that was there recently had a breakup, so she decided All of Me, okay, as the choice of song. Okay, so All of Me right over here, that is the song that 10B has to dance to. And the 10C is mostly like childish people, so like they are dancing on Chiller Party. Okay, so they are dancing on Chiller Party or something like that. So now each of these class, okay, so now the principal has given up a color code of like dress up that they have to follow as well. Let's say that for Kesaria song, the class 10A, every student, so class 10A has to wear red color clothes. Okay, so every single student present in class 10A would have to wear red color clothes. Am I right or wrong? Every student, okay, present in the class that has a class of 10A would have to wear a red color cloth itself. Am I right or wrong, guys? Please let me know. Yeah, Keshav, it was not meant for a joke or anything like that. I was trying to make sure that, because relationships is something that you will be able to understand when you are able to relate to your daily life. Okay, so I usually try to make sure that whatever, if somebody is not able to understand something, I'm trying my level best to like connect them to something that has happened to their own life. Okay, it becomes very easy for people to understand stuff. Okay, if I just launch like technical definitions right over here that okay, class is this and IDs is that, and then let's just move on, most of the people won't be able to understand me. I don't want that to be a case. So I try to make sure that the examples are something that you guys are easily able to relate. Okay, so class, I was in 10th A, that's great, everybody will be wearing red color clothes. Similar to that, class 10B, everybody present in class 10B has been given the sky color, that is the blue color for everybody to wear. So all the students present in the class 10B would be wearing a blue color cloth itself. Let's say for class 10C it is green. Okay, so everybody present in class 10C will be wearing a green color clothes. Now the point is that okay, so these students were divided into classes. Okay, each of these students had a class that was there right over here. There's one more thing that is present when you are in school, that is your roll number. Roll numbers are unique. 37 students can have of the same class, that is 10A. 7 more students can have the same class, that is 10B. 30 students can have the same class, that is 10C. But what about roll numbers? Roll numbers are unique. Roll numbers are unique to every student. Okay, so for example, the first particular student has a roll number of 0, then this particular student has a roll number of 1, then you are having a next particular person has a roll number of 2, and then 3, then 4, then 5, and then 6. Similar to that, this particular person will have the roll number of 7, then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. No two students in the school can have the same roll number. Everybody has a unique roll number itself. Now let's say that you were the favorite of the principal. Okay, this is your principal. Let's make a mooch, let's put up some hair. Now this particular person looks like me, I don't know why, but yeah. So this is your principal right over there. You were the favorite student of your principal. So the principal said that, okay, like, dude, I love Harry Potter. My favorite student will wear golden color clothes. Your roll number is, let's say, 3. 3 is your roll number. He has said that the student with roll number 3 has to be the snitch. I don't remember the name. In Harry Potter, there was the one golden ball that used to go around while they were playing Quidditch. If you guys remember it, I don't remember the name itself. So you will become that for our like entire annual day function. Okay, so even though that's very embarrassing, but you have to do it because you want to impress the principal. I don't know why. The golden snitch. Okay, so you will become that. Okay, so what happens right now is your ID or your roll number, that is 3, that is unique. Only you of the all the students will be in golden color, even though your class is also 10A. Okay, your class is also 10A, but you will be the only person, okay, who will be wearing the golden color. Okay, even though your entire class is wearing red. Okay, but because you had the ID of 3 and the ID of 3 has been assigned the color golden, you will now be wearing the golden color because I'm pointing to you. And when you are using an ID, you're actually pointing at something. When you are using a class, you identify as a group. So it becomes very easy. If you have like, you were in 10th A as a particular rule that you have to wear red color clothes, but you also had the ID of 3. ID of 3 means you have to wear golden color clothes. So now you are having two things. According to class, you have to wear red. According to ID, you have to wear golden. So you will be going with golden itself because ID has a greater precedence, because now I'm pointing to you that you have to wear golden color. Okay, only you have to wear the golden color. So that has a higher precedence, okay, higher priority when compared to your class. The same thing goes on with a website as well. Okay, the exact same thing that you were able to see using this example. Yes, the roll number is equals to your ID. Okay, if you aren't familiar with English, yes. So right over here, when you are looking at a website as well, a website has various components. Okay, multiple components itself. Multiple components can have the same class. Okay, they can belong to the same class itself. Okay, you can have like 15, 20, 100 different components on your website that have the same class. Okay, but you can only have one particular element with a particular ID. Okay, you cannot use that ID anywhere else on the class. Only one element will have a particular ID. Now think of all these elements, the h1 tag, the paragraph tag, the image tag, all the tags that you know of. Think of them as individual students. Okay, as individual students, each of them can have their very own ID. Okay, you can provide with very own ID, and multiple of them can be combined together into a class. Okay, so that is basically the entire example. We'll be looking at this from a coding perspective as well, but have you guys understood the concept of classes and ID? Once you will be looking at this from a like a practical example, it will be very easy for you to understand. But have you guys understood this up till now? Please do let me know. Have you guys understood this up till now? Please do let me know. Himanshu Raheja, please speak in Hindi. It's not a joke, sir. Please. It's great. It's not a joke. That is the reason why I'm speaking in English. Okay, our job is not to make a YouTube channel, but to basically create employability inside of the entire stuff. When you are looking at, like, when I was giving my interview for Google, there were 8 interview rounds. Out of the 8 interview rounds, 4 of those rounds were taken up by people not from India. Somebody was from UK, somebody was from Indonesia, somebody was from China, somebody was from USA. Okay, these guys don't know Hindi. Okay, I had to speak my entire stuff. I have to make them understand everything in English itself. So if you think that you want to go get into an IT company using just Hindi, you need to think twice. Okay, great. So let's go back. Okay, and let's try to implement this from a coding perspective. Now let's first create a good class. Okay, let's first create a class right now. So let's go back to our code. Let's remove everything. We'll just have the h1 tag on our screen, and we'll just make copies of the h1 tag right over here. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. And we will name this as class. Okay, we want to assign a class to this. Okay, so we'll be assigning it a class of is the first element, so we'll be going with odd. Okay, we are going to name this particular, you can name it as anything. Okay, anything that you want. I'm just naming it as odd and even. Okay, so this class, okay, I'm naming it as, let's say, even right over here. This one I'm naming it as odd. Okay, so class is odd right over here. This I will be naming it as even. Okay, so class is even right over here. Then I will be naming this particular class as odd. Okay, so what I've done right over here is I've like divided all the h1 tags into even and odd. Okay, so are you guys able to understand this? Okay, okay, so right over here, as you are able to see, we have divided all the h1 tags into even and odd tag, like classes itself. Now, for example, I want to make sure that all my odd tags are, let's say, red in color, and all my even like h1 tags are green in color. Let's try to do that. So first of all, let's save this. Let's go back to our styling. We have our, now we want to select all the tags that have a class of even. Okay, we want to select all the tags that have a class of even. When we wanted to select all the h1 tags, we just used to write h1. That is the selector for selecting all the tags that are having like the tag of h1. But right now we are not selecting a HTML tag. We are selecting a particular class. Okay, are you guys able to understand this? We are not trying to select a particular tag. We are trying to select a particular class itself. To be able to select a particular class, you have to type or dot, okay, because you want to select a class, okay, not a HTML tag. So dot and then the name of the class, that is your odd, okay, you want to select odd. Then you can apply your rule set or rules that you want to apply it on it, that is color is red in color. Similar to that, I want to use our dot even, okay, I want to select the even tag class as well, and I want to put up the color as green, okay, I want to put up the color as green right over here. Let's save this. So we have selected the odd as well as the even tag, okay, we have selected the odd and the even classes itself. If we are going back to our website and reloading the page, as we are able to see, our odd tags will be red in color and our even tags will be green in color. Man, I basically forgot that, like, I was not able to recognize her. Are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know, guys. Are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know, guys. Great. So next thing what we need to do is we need to understand about how to what if I want the middle particular, so for example, list of highest paid jobs in 2021, I want this to be blue in color, this particular highlighted one, I want it to be blue in color, this only this particular h1 tag, that is the second odd tag, I want it to be blue in color. So that is the only tag h1 in the entire page that I want it to be in blue in color. So what I'm going to do is I'm having a class of odd, but I'm going to have an ID as well of main. Okay, I'm going to have an ID. You can name it as anything. I'm naming the ID as main right over here. I'm saving this. I'm going back to my styles.css. This time I want the selector to be an ID called as main. I'm not selecting a tag, I'm not selecting a particular class, I want to select an ID. So it will be hash and then the name of the ID, that is main right over here, and we will have our color as blue. We will have the color as blue right over here. So hash main, okay, just like dot even for selecting a class, just h1 for selecting a tag. Similar to that, we are having our hash main to select an ID right over there. We are saving this, going back to our website and reloading the page. As you are able to see, we have got blue color right over here. Okay, we have got a blue color right over here. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know, guys. Are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know. So how to host a website portfolio for free? Soros sake, you could definitely use something like, if you are having a portfolio, I don't know which particular, like if it's a static portfolio, there's no backend to it, then you can definitely use GitHub Pages for that. It's for free, you don't even have to pay anything. If it's a backend based portfolio, we have looked at some of the portfolios like that. I'm planning to bring a particular friend of mine to Bootcamp. He has created an amazing portfolio, man, an amazing portfolio. So if you have a backend portfolio, then you can go with something like a Hostinger or the AWS as well. AWS has a free tier that you can use, okay, because nobody is going to use your portfolio for a very long period of time, so that's also great. Otherwise as well, you can get some GCP credits as a student limit. They have some student tier as well. You can definitely use that. Okay. So that is, like, as you're able to see, our our index, our middle h1 tag had both a class as well as an ID. Okay, it both had a class as well as an ID, but the ID was given the preference. Okay, the ID was given the preference right over there. Are you guys able to understand this? Please let me know. What is the difference between dot and hash in CSS? Like I said, right now, if you want to select a particular class, okay, you are using a dot. If you want to select a particular ID, you have to use a hash. Okay. Okay, what are your opinion about WordPress? Those people who are not able to code and are dumb, use WordPress. Do not ask a developer that how is like a no-code platform. He will always like tell you that it's shit, because there's not a lot of different things that you can do with it. Okay, if you want to, like, it will not get you a job. It's not something that is having a lot of demand as well. Like, if you want to be a freelancer creating small websites from some small like local shops or something like that, then yes, you can go with WordPress. But if you really want to become a developer, then of course go with coding proper. Okay, so let's move on from right over there. Okay, so let's go back to our PPT. As you're able to see, for classes you use a dot, for IDs you use a hash. Okay, let's move on from right over there. Okay, so any questions up till this particular point of time? Any questions up till this particular point of time, guys? Please do let me know. Any questions up till this particular point of time, guys? Please do let me know, guys. Okay, when you are using IDs in classes, my suggestion would be never use IDs. Okay, until and unless it is absolutely essential to use ID, only then use IDs. Always use class. This is called as a best practice that is there, although IDs definitely exist. Okay, but you cannot use the same ID again. Okay, so that if at any point of time there is another particular element that uses the same kind of styling itself, you cannot use the same ID, but you can use the same class. You can like make sure that you are not using the same class again whenever that's the case, but always my suggestion, it's a best practice not to use IDs, not to use inline CSS, not to use internal CSS. It's always a best practice to use classes, tags, on even tags as well. I won't suggest it. Always use class. Like, man, that is like what I've seen in like every single professional project that I've worked with. These guys are obsessed with classes. I don't know why. Means I know why, because like it has a lot of benefits over everything else. But still, always a best practice is that you should be going with classes itself. Okay, are you guys able to understand this? Please do let me know. Content, I hope that you are able to read English itself. You will be able to see from the topic of this particular bootcamp, it is HTML and CSS. Okay. Arshita Joshi, can you please explain style sheets again? Absolutely not. Okay. What is WordPress? See, WordPress is one of the tools that has been made available that helps create small scaled websites pretty easily. Okay, now the problem with WordPress is these are built for people who don't know how to code. So these are built for people who are not aiming for getting a job or something like that. They have a small business of their own. They don't want to hire a developer. They don't have the money to or the capabilities to do so. Okay, they don't know how to code, and they don't want to create an entire website on their own, first learning to code and then to create a website. So these guys basically use like Shopify or like WordPress or these type of websites, which makes it very easy to create a website for your own business, own small scaled business. So this is not something for you guys. You guys are mostly in colleges, you are searching for a job, so that isn't something for you guys itself. I hope that you guys are able to understand it. Gautam, like I've said for the past 2 days, the PPT is already available on our Discord channel. Okay. Will you be starting C and C++ bootcamp? Saurav J. Sain, we have already done our C++ bootcamp, but yes, in the future we'll be having some. But C, I don't think so. Like, I'm totally against it because it's not something that is relevant from placement perspectives. None of the companies are going to ask you questions based on C. Of course, they will be asking you questions based on C++ or Java. So I don't think so. But yeah, we'll just definitely think about it. Okay, so what do you mean by good practice? See, there's a saying that goes around in our development community. And see, whenever you are working at a huge firm, it's not just you who is going to work on a code base. Right now, you only have the code. You are the only person who is making spaghetti out of it. Okay, you are writing shit quality code and nobody else is going to read it or use it or even modify it at any point of time. when you're working at a big firm, almost 10 to 15 different peoples will be working on the exact same code file. Okay, not even a code base. Okay, a code base consists of multiple files. Leave that. A single code file will be used and will be modified and will be edited by almost 5, 6, or 7 people. Then it will be handed to a different team for testing purposes. They will be going through your code. They will be trying to modify it, trying to figure out what are the different shitholes that you have created in your code itself. That will be the testing team, then it will go to the deployment team. So it's a huge process. Your file goes through the hands of 20 people, and you will have written like 15 lines of code and like 10,000 lines of code that are actually already existed in that file. Okay, so there's a saying that whenever you are writing a code inside such type of files, it shouldn't like nobody should be able to figure out that 15 people have written this particular code. Okay, it should look as if a single person has written the entire code itself. Of course, this is not true because when you go into the industry, everybody uses something else. But there are some good practices that always need to be followed. Okay, because these are just considered as etiquettes. Like just like you need to use a fork and a spoon to eat, these are considered as basic etiquettes that any programmer should know of. Okay. No, sorry, Shake, Bootstrap and WordPress aren't the same. Any game dev bootcamp? Right now, we haven't thought about it. So can you use two IDs, and if so, which will be more important, like the first one declared or the second one? So Likita, try that out. Okay, whenever you have such type of doubts that is like a very like your own personal doubt, always try to open up a portal, go and code this out, try to see what is the solution. Why is that the case? Search for it on Google. In this particular way, you will be able to increase your knowledge as well. Okay. Ayush Aghora, so I'm not able to find the PPT on Discord channel. We have created a list of resources. You'll be able to find it in that. Okay. Is it possible to complete full stack in 6 weeks? So for us, it usually takes us about 3 to 4 months to complete the entire full stack. With 2 hours of classes every single day, 5 to 6 days a week, it takes us 3 to 4 months to complete the entire full stack. So that is the amount of time that it will take minimum to minimum. Okay. Okay, so we'll end our class right over here. I'll show you guys the attendance form for today, guys. Give me a second. Let me create the attendance form for today, guys. Give me a second right now. Oh, shit. We'll be discussing about full stack web development, backend web development, front end, DevOps, Kubernetes, CI/CD, cloud computing on our 5th day. Okay, so don't worry about it. On the 5th day, we will be discussing about it. Let me just first of all give you guys the attendance link for today, guys. Give me a second. There's just so many like pages that we have created right now that it becomes very difficult for me sometimes to figure out which is the right link and everything. Give me a second, guys. Today is the day 3, I suppose. The responses are open. Send link. Copy QR. Control V. Download. 3 UG August. Open. This is the QR code for today, guys. You can definitely take a screenshot or whatever you want to do with it. You can pause the video as well and scan it. Okay, so I think so that would be it right now, guys. We will be meeting tomorrow again at 6 o'clock. Please be on time, and we will continue from right over there. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you.